meeting of the Camilla City Council. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Councilman Campbell.
Here.
Councilwoman Willingham.
Present.
Councilman Jenkins.
Here.
Councilman Twitty.
Here.
Councilwoman Smith. Present. Councilman Palmer.
Here.
Let's pause a minute. Silent prayer. Amen. So I'll stand for the pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have two sets of minutes to consider. First, we consider the minutes of the call meeting which took place on March the 22nd. You've had time to consider the minutes. What do I hear?
Move to approve.
Second.
The motion is second that the minutes of March 22nd needed to be approved. Is there any discussion? I have a couple of things that I'd like to discuss about the minutes. The first one is, I guess, a pure housekeeping item where we addressed in paragraph 5, Bishop Miller gave the invocation. I think for future references, when people want to know Bishop Miller, that we should spell out Bishop Timothy Miller, Sr. And there were other items that I was concerned with, and I thought maybe the minutes didn't give maybe a clear understanding of just what happened in the resolution, but I'm just going to go down to number 12. The paragraph that says discussion ensued concerning the resolution, allegations of the resolution. Mayor Hayward discussed that she would not resign and would seek representation for herself. I think to be clear that what Mayor Hayward did was dispute the allegations and then said she would not resign and she would seek representation. Because as it reads, as though the allegations that were made were proved and I agreed with them, and I was just going to get a lawyer, I guess, to mitigate whatever the sentence would be. Just disputed the allegations, then said she would not resign. And 13, I think where it says that Councilwoman Smith voted against it. I think that a statement should be included as to why she voted against it. But I won't push that. We can just leave that. I mean, if it wants to hang like that, it can hang like that. Any other discussions?
All that is a vote saying who voted for and who voted against.
Yeah. Any other discussion? All in favor of the minutes being approved with these corrections? Opposes? Then we have the minutes approved with correction. Then we have the minutes of the regular meeting that took place on March the 14th. What's your pleasure?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay. Been motion second that the minutes of March 14th be approved. Is there any discussion or correction? All in favor of the minutes being approved? Opposes? The minutes of March 14th being approved. Report from the Administrative Committee.
April 11, 2011, Richard Waters, auditor for the City of Camilla, reviewed the FY 2010 audit with council. Auditor Waters gave the city high marks for its very sound financial condition and its success in a number of revenue-generating endeavors that have enabled the city to provide excellent services to the citizens. The administrative committee recommends adoption of the 2010 audit. This is a motion.
Second.
The motion is second that the 2010 audit be adopted. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Opposes? The 2010 audit is adopted. Public Works Committee.
We have two items tonight. City Manager Mike Larkin reviewed the City of Camilla safety policy with the council. This policy is required for the city to be eligible for receive grant money to purchase equipment for the fire and police departments. The Public Works Committee recommends approval of this policy and authorize the mayor and city manager to sign the document. This is a form of motion.
Second.
It's been motion and second that the council adopts the public safety policy. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Opposes? Public safety policy passes.
City Manager Larkin also reviewed the City of Camilla vehicle policy with council. This policy also requires the city to be able to receive grant money to purchase equipment for the fire and police department. Public Works Committee recommends approval of the policy and authorizes the mayor and the city manager to sign the document. This is a form of motion.
Second.
Been motion and second that the Camilla vehicle policy be adopted. Is there any discussion?
Mike, I believe these are all common sense
They are.
line items, but
They're embedded elsewhere in various policies that we have, but this was the format that we needed a specific policy for that grant, so I thought it was a good idea to do that. They are common sense items that you do every day. Part of that policy.
For public review, I asked the clerk maybe to post them for a couple of days if people want to come to see what these policies are. Post them outside the usual place. Any other discussion? All in favor? Opposes? The vehicle policy passes. The city attorney.
Well, we pass these on around. I just want to lead a little discussion along with Larkin about reapportionment. I think most of you have been on the council for a while, and you understand that after the biennial census, everybody has to look at their election districts and make sure they comply with a couple things. One man, one vote. So they're basic. Did I get enough? I've got some more.
One shot.
Okay. Make sure the districts are basically or close to being the same in population, and also that the plan that we have adopted does not violate the Voting Rights Act by diluting minority voting strength. And so those are two basic considerations that you have. But we're in a real time frame, and it's kind of a mess, not for us necessarily, but for all cities in the state of Georgia. But you just got the voting data now, okay? And you've got to have, or you should have this done, hopefully, by August the 29th, which is when people start qualifying for public office. What does that mean? That means that we've got to adopt a plan. It has to be read twice because it's a home rule ordinance. And so that means you've got to adopt it two regularly scheduled public meetings that are contiguous, one after the other. I'm trying to use the right word. And then it has to be sent to the Justice Department to be pre-approved. And legally, all that should get done before August the 29th, which means that if you did that, you'd have to adopt it at the next regular scheduled meeting of the council. So, I mean, everybody's got the same problem that you are, but we need to start quickly. I talked to both the GMA lawyers twice today and also the Assistant Attorney General who does the same thing in the state of Georgia. Everybody acknowledges that the time frame is just virtually impossible to do. But nonetheless, Mike and I talked about who would do this for us. The memo that all the cities got from the Georgia Municipal Association says you should contact your General Assembly member and then they will in turn contact the Legislative Reapportionment Office. Apparently, to do work with them this year, unlike last time, you've got to have a legislative sponsor. But I also talked to the RDC and asked Dan there if they had the capability of doing this, and apparently they do. You've got to have the capability of deciding what blocks are where and be able to move one block of a voting census tract into another district. And I think, Mike, you've talked to him as well. And so it was kind of our feeling that we should immediately get them to take a look at it. The first thing we got to do, it seems to me reasonably, is decide whether we're malapportioned or not. It could be that there have not been a significant enough change in our population or in any shift in the population within the city to make any real difference. If it's 5% roughly in the district and 10% overall, that's going to be good enough. And so you may not have to do it, which would be good. And then if we did do it, we just pass a little resolution. I think that our districts comply if y'all decide that you want to leave them exactly like they are. If we don't do that, then we need to get working pretty quickly. And in spite of doing it quickly, it seems pretty remote that we're going to be able to do it and get it pretty cleared in time, to be honest about it. But nonetheless, it's important to be prudent in trying to get it done. If it's not done by cities by the time of the next election, you've got two problems. I mean, first of all, you'll know that your districts are malapportioned if you had to do one. And so it's difficult to have an election on the old districts. At the same time, even though you passed it, the new districts are not legal under the Voting Rights Act until they've been pre-cleared. So it's a real rock in the hard place. I don't think anybody has really decided what's the best course, but we'll just have to play it by ear till we get there. But you can expedite it, pre-clearance. Perhaps they'll give it, and perhaps they'll go ahead and do it. I've asked for that, and they said sure, and it's still been 60 days every time I've done it. But nonetheless, that's kind of where we are. And if it's okay with y'all, after you ask any questions you want to, I think we'll go ahead and start working with Dan to get these numbers evaluated for your. I think there are only 2 election districts. Is that right?
Yes.
So it shouldn't be very hard from Camilla, and perhaps they haven't been any shifts. Has anybody got any questions?
So when did you say we had to have it?
That's the thing. It should be done and pre-cleared before the first day of qualifying, which is August the 29th. You've got to adopt it, Mayor, in 2 consecutive, word I was looking for, regularly scheduled meetings. They can't be called meetings. You've got to be, and you've got to have the advertisement, I think 3 times before the last passage of that thing. I've also worked in your schedule here a couple of public hearings. When you get these things pre-cleared, they always ask that. Did you get any public input? Did you involve groups that represent minorities in the process? Did you allow people to come and tell you what they thought? So I would suggest that we hold a public hearing pretty soon. Public forum probably is a better term. And then get a plan together, and then begin the adoption process, and then have another public forum so people can comment on the program. And even though there's simply 2 districts, there's unlikely to be much controversy at all about it, it certainly is, has a lot less questions if you do those kinds of PR things, if you will, to get public input as you proceed. So
before the public hearing, though, you have to have some data from Dan, right, for the public to address.
Well, it would be good. I think we're already working on that. For sure are. It's hard to have a hearing or a forum, whatever, with nothing. Now, one of the things that has come up with these things, well, we think that we ought to have 10 districts rather than 2 or whatever. That's not on, and the law doesn't allow you to change that in this case. That has to be done in the case of an election procedure by a vote of the General Assembly. We're not going to be able to have that before you have to adopt these plans. So People may come and ask that. Some people say, well, let's elect them all at large, or let's elect them at 6 single-member districts. All that can be done eventually if the council will do it, but it can't be done in this process. So, anybody got any questions? This is just a kind of little pro forma that we put together about what we think ought to do, and some questions, criteria, that kind of thing for you to look at, to begin looking at.
RDC would be able to come up with a quick estimate.
I think so. I don't think, I talked to Dan, I don't think he realized that it was going to be quite as quick as cities and counties are going to need it. Well, cities are going to need it. Counties are done by the General Assembly. There won't be an election for county offices this year, so they're not going to worry about counties. And I hear also that the Legislative Reapportionment Office from Dennis Dunn with the Attorney General's office is not even going to start talking to cities until the middle of May. And I said, well, Dennis, how in the world people going to do it? He said, I don't know. So they've got a lot on their plate, I suppose. Their main client is the General Assembly. And that's got to be done as well, and they'll do for them in congressional districts. So there's going to be plenty of fighting about that before they get to us.
And what do we need to do first? What's the first thing we need to do?
I think that if y'all could just authorize the city manager to talk, and me to talk to Dan to get him to do our initial analysis. Yes, sir.
I'll make that motion.
They've got the capability there with the GI. You know, this happens all over the country every 10 years under the one man, one vote concept. We now have technology that we didn't have 10 years ago. And he is able to go block by block and, with the census data and tell us exactly how many voters are in every block. I'm hopeful we're okay. Actually, in the census, Camilla actually lost a little bit of population in the last 10 years. And it would take quite a few people, say, from north of Oakland to have moved south of Oakland to where we would have to change those districts. So Tommy and I have talked about it, Dan and I have, but they're going to agree to help us do that expeditiously. And I'm hoping that all it's going to take is a letter says, we've looked at it, we don't have to change anything. We just have to be able to prove it. That's the thing. And he can prove it for us.
Have to prove it. There's a legal deviation, like 5%.
Yeah.
And then I've never done one where we just had 2 districts. So generally it says 5% to district and 10% overall. So I'm not sure how that would apply when we just have 2 districts. Probably just 5%, because we can certainly capable of getting that refined.
I mean, at most it would be maybe changing just one block and putting it in another day to balance that out population-wise. So it wouldn't be a massive reconstruction of our 2 districts. Because right now it's in about, I think, Oakland.
Yeah.
Maybe we move it down to Broadway. Whatever it would take to get the population figures even within the boundaries Mr. Colvin mentioned.
We need a motion?
Motion to authorize city manager.
So moved.
So, second.
It's been motion and second that we authorize the city manager to get with Dan Bogan, the regional commission, to act as the consultant for the reapportionment data. Is there any discussion? I had a question and had a senior moment. I had a question, had a senior moment in evaluation.
I have those all day.
When they get with Dan for the data, do we need to put in the motion that we have a data back by the first work session in May so we can do it?
That would certainly be fine, Mayor. Hopefully you'd be able to get it sooner than that, but we'd like to start working on it quickly.
The sooner you get on his list, the quicker you're going to get it, because it's going to grow.
I think we're first.
That's good.
First.
That's good.
So I have to add that no later than the first work session in May.
Can be handled.
Yeah.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? The motion passed. Under marriage announcements, I just have a couple of things. I saw somebody from the chamber Somebody from the chamber.
Not representing the chamber.
Yeah,
no,
but, I think, you
I'm just
know,
working on the chamber.
I think, you know, the announcement or the ditto to the announcement about Walmart, I think should come from some of you all.
Well, I actually wasn't involved in that meeting this time. I was involved in the meeting last time, but since I'm not chair anymore, I wasn't involved in that meeting, so I can't respond to exactly what was done in that meeting. I read it in the paper like the rest of them.
Well, people are still, my only thing is that people are still, that we can't believe it, so I guess the announcement is that people want to know that it's true. I think Mr. Van was there, so that's all. People just were so shocked that they wanted to know that it was true. On the other announcement I had was about cleanup week, which is April the 11th to the 14th. And that's when you put what we call your big trash outside the road for cleanup. And I guess we are doing this year in conjunction with what we call Georgia Cities Week. If you have any other questions about what goes on, it's usually posted, right, on the
It is posted, yes.
on the stroll. You can read the stroll. And sure, Mr. Gerard put it in the paper for us. If you have any questions about what goes, what's considered cleanup for that week. If you have any other questions, call customer services. Any other business?
I've got some. I'd like to introduce a new city employee. Carl, if you come forward or stand up. This is Carla Irvin. She is our new code enforcement officer for the city. She's completely certified in the state as a code enforcement officer. And she also has a post certification, so she's also a law enforcement officer as well. And we're very glad to have her. Carla started with us on the 4th of April. And she'll be working in planning and zoning, and we expect great things out of her. So welcome. Glad to have you on board. Just a couple other things real quickly. I mentioned this at the work session. We've got a lot of good news. You know, some of this you may be familiar with and some of you may not be, but a lot of municipalities really struggled in this recession, and it's not over yet. And we, like the other ones, struggled as well. But fortunately, we've held our head above water. And I think the announcement Mayor Haywood just talked about with the expanded Walmart is indicative of our head above the water. And there's a lot more coming on board. We now have a new Riley's Auto Parts going on in 19. We've got a new tractor dealership out on the Newton Highway. We've gotten, of course, the Pecan Warehouse, Camilla Commodities is rebuilding. That's the one that burned about 4 or 5 years ago. So we've got a lot going on right now. We just filled up the pipeline running to Wind Gap Farms today. So we have gas at that facility as promised before the end of the month. They're going to do some internal work, but I believe we'll be supplying them gas here probably by the end of the week. So that project is basically completed. And so all those are things that are going to help this city in terms of revenue, not to mention the jobs for our people. Harvey's just a couple of months away from finalizing their brand new building, and we're very proud of that. So we're very fortunate, and I think overall it would be a great benefit to this community. And so we should be proud of ourselves, and we should count our blessings, because a lot of communities, particularly of our size, have not fared as well as we have during these times. So we've been very fortunate, and I've been happy and glad to be a part of it. That's all I have.
Well, I got one thing. I just want to make it clear with this resolution, do you abide by the resolution that was voted on 5-1 last council meeting? You are not going to abide, or are you going to abide by the resolution?
So to be more specific with your question,
Well, Well, it's summarized right here. Attorney Donaldson read a resolution that addressed the dissension and discord the mayor had created between herself, city manager, and council and employees. Resolution details the council requires for the mayor to cease and desist from attacks upon the city manager and procedures for a manner consistent with the orderly conduct of the business, or if it's unable to carry out the procedures, then the council requests resignation of your post as mayor.
Well, the only part that, well, I'm going to say, since I disputed the resolution, I'm going back to my original answer, and it has become a legal matter. And I'll answer your question, as people do these days, have my attorney contact Mr. Copeland.
So you are not going to resign, okay, and you're going to get legal representation. I just, you know, as city council, we just do our due diligence to operate this city and keep it focused and going in one direction. I just need to know if you're going to be with us or go another direction.
My answer is the same. The only thing I'll say, well, the city manager looked like we've been going in this direction. He just read a list of glowing reports, so.
Well, I mean, Manager, we're sitting here we've gone through 2 city managers, 2 city attorneys, 3 councilman persons that had 18 to 22 years experience, and we're still right back here. So that's what I just want to make clear before we go any further on this. I just like to see it work. Yeah, I just like to see, you know, this resolution.
The council people, you take that to the people. Those people were voted out. I didn't vote those people out. Those people were voted out. So
well, I mean, you know, all I'm saying is it's not an unreasonable request to work with the council and discuss things before you go to the city employees making demands. And I don't see that's that.
That one really has the attorneys, because I'm anxious too for those people to be named. So I'm ready for attorneys to do what they call discovery, so I can see who those people are who are saying that I have, you know, have messed with them and confronted them. Yeah. So that's my answer. I don't think that's something.
Clear.
Anybody else on the council got anything to say? The citizen delegation. Anybody in the public? If not,
excuse me. What did you just ask? The citizens?
Yeah, the citizens have anything to say. Anybody?
I would.
Okay. Would you come forward, please?
I'm Naomi Carroll, 136 Bremberry Street in Camilla. And I have not been here for a while. I've been in and out, and I really didn't know what was going on in this city. And I heard about it in Albany and Atlanta. And they were asking me about what was going on in my city. I didn't know what was going on. But the thing that I would like to ask, if we could just get along for the sake of the city of Camilla. In my opinion, the mayor is a good person and can do a good job, but we all have to work together. And we have to, whatever that's blocking us, we're gonna have to get rid of that so that we can work. We can't work together if there are some problems. We need to iron it out. We need to iron this problem out so that we can work for the good of Camilla. I'm proud of Camilla, but I'm not proud of what I've heard. So my only thing is, what was the person's name that went through some type of thing out in California that says, can we get along? This is what we're gonna have to do. We're gonna have to try to get along. And just because we're in a small town doesn't mean that we have to act small. And maybe that perception is wrong. And I just heard the city manager say that all these good things are gonna happen. And that I heard him say earlier that we were gonna be working expeditiously to try to get these things happen so that we could move forward. What I'd like to see is that you council women and men get together so that our city can move forward. Camilla is a good place. And I would like for it to stay that way. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment.
Yeah, did bring up something that we always get in trouble with those retreats that we never followed through the last retreat. Maybe we can consider it again and discuss it in the next work session, which will actually be this month. That's something that maybe we should bring up again. Is phase 2 of the retreat or just another retreat. But we'll put that on the work session agenda for the next work session. Any other comments? If not, I need a motion for us to go into executive session to discuss the personnel matter.
I'll make that motion.
And I'll second.
The motion is second that we go into executive session to discuss the personnel matter. All in favor? Opposed?
Well, we need to, yeah, we need to.
Need a motion to go back into session?
Call the meeting back to order.
Oh, you got to call.
We'll call the meeting back to order. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Councilman Campbell.
Here.
Councilwoman Willingham. Councilman Jenkins. Councilman Tweedy.
Here.
Councilwoman Smith. Councilman Palmer.
Here.
Okay, the council went into executive session to discuss personnel matters. While in executive section, no action was taken. But as a result of discussions in executive session, do I have any motions from the council?
Make a motion, we accept the resignation of the city manager.
I'll second that.
Then motion and second that we accept the resignation of the city manager. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Opposing? The resignation accepted. Now, as a result of accepting the resignation, what's the pleasure of the council?
I'll make a motion that we engage Tom Berry to be our interim city manager for such time as needed.
And I'll second that.
The motion and second that we engage Tom Berry as interim city manager. Is there any discussion? Well, Mr. Attorney, since you have some background, just give some brief background.
Yes, ma'am. I appreciate that. Tom Berry is one of the premier city managers in our state. I think y'all all know that he was a very successful manager of the city of Thomasville for a number of years. We all know how progressive and how well the city of Thomasville runs. Since that time, he's been consultant for a number of communities, been consultant for your communication system that you're part of. I'll represent Sylvester. He was the interim there. I think he's done the same for Moultrie and the same for Cairo. And I don't think that we could do any better on the short-term basis than having Tom Berry to assist us through this transition period.
I just have one question. Will his contract start now on the 29th? Will he need to come on board while Mr. Larkin is still here to get?
I think we would need to talk to him about that. I believe he needs to be here some time.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think Tom intends, nor do you intend to have him work like a city manager 10 hours a day all the time. So he could kind of transition in while Mike is still here and still not overburden us financially by doing so. So I think he should start as soon as possible, as soon as we can get all this worked out so he can work with Mike.
Well, you'll work on that
Yes,
part.
ma'am. I'll call him in the morning. Actually, probably tomorrow afternoon, but I'll call him.
Any further discussion?
We just need to let Reginald know, and so we can have it in the paper. I think he's gone.
Yeah, at Walmart.
He's gone to Walmart. Maybe he can put it in the paper.
Yeah.
All in favor? Opposed? The motion passes to hire Tom Berry as interim city manager. Is there no other business? Is there any other business to come before the council? Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor? Opposed? Motion. Meeting is adjourned.
All right.